Oh no, y'all not lovin' hip-hop Atlanta. Turning into a full-blown soap opera with tear-stained lashes and truth bombs flying left and right. Just when we thought the drama had reached its peak with Erica Gate, Mendeecees said, "Hold my mic," and unleashed the type of confession that makes producers clutch their pearls and fans drop their phones mid-scroll. I mean, who saw this coming? Yandy, the queen of I Hold My Man Down, was left speechless, mascara running. Walking off set like she just watched her whole life unravel on playback. Was it about the leaked messages? Was it Erica? Was it something worse? Baby, you ain't ready for this level of betrayal? What did Mendeecees really say that left the entire cast frozen like mannequins at a clearance sale? The streets are whispering, social media is melting down, and even the boom mic operator had to take a break. This wasn't just T-Wiz boiling lava straight from the pits of reality TV hell. So buckle up, grab your popcorn, and maybe a tissue or two, because we're diving into the shocking moment that might just end the Yandy Mendeecees saga forever, and, trust me, it's way messier than you think. It started like any regular shoot day on the Love and Hip Hop Atlanta set, lights glaring, cameras positioned, cast members dressed to impress like they were headed to a fashion war, not a family-style cookout. The vibe, supposed to be light, fake laughs, staged convos, red cups in hand, and producers whispering into hidden earpieces, trying to milk another episode out of old beef. But what went down that day wasn't in any script. This wasn't storyline drama or clout-chasing shade. This was real-life heartbreak crashing through reality TV like a wrecking ball, and at the center of it all was Yandy, standing just a few feet away from a man who'd spent years convincing her he was the only one she could trust. Mendeecees, usually the cool, calculated type, who plays the game like a pro, shocked everyone when he opened his mouth and told the truth for once. Not the watered-down PR-approved version he'd given in past seasons. No, this time, it was raw and ugly. And loud in its silence. It started with a simple question, whispered off camera. Something like, "So, you gonna address those messages or nah?" A harmless nudge. Really? Producers didn't expect anything groundbreaking. They were just hoping for a little tension to spice up a scene, but Mendeecees looked down, rubbed his hands together like a man praying for forgiveness, and dropped the bomb. He admitted it. Straight-faced, calm-voiced, no edits. Those leaked messages between him and Erica. Real, every single one. Not photoshopped, not taken out of context, not old receipts from a past life. They were new, and they happened while he was still playing happy husband with Yandy for the cameras. The moment those words left his mouth, you could feel the entire set inhale. Yandy was close enough to hear every syllable. She wasn't even facing him at first. She was setting up plates like she always does, holding things down, doing the emotional labor, trying to keep the peace. But when Mendeecees said those words, she stopped. And when she turned to face him, something inside her broke. Her face didn't twist in rage. She didn't throw anything. She didn't curse him out. She just froze, like her mind had been yanked out of her body and thrown into a nightmare she didn't sign up for. Everyone on set stood still. Spice, Bambi, even Rashida. You could hear the sound of a drink being put down to hard. The clink of a fork hitting the ground. The awkward shuffle of a PA who didn't know whether to run or roll camera. And then there was Yandy. Still frozen, still quiet, still trying to process how the man she built her life with had just shattered it for public consumption. Mendeecees kept talking. Nobody asked him to. Nobody told him to explain. But he did. Because once you start telling the truth, the lies start unraveling, like thread on a cheap wig. He admitted there were things he never told Yandy, things he thought he could bury. Said he didn't want her to find out like this, but the damage was already done. By the time he paused to breathe, Yandy's eyes were already glassy. Not from anger, from heartbreak. The kind of heartbreak that doesn't scream, it just sits there, heavy, like it's trying to choke you from the inside. Rashida moved first, tried to walk over and pull Yandy aside, but she wouldn't budge. She wasn't crying loud, she wasn't making a scene. She just stood there, tears running down her face, arms limp, like someone who'd just been told the life she believed in was a lie. And here's where it got darker. Because Mendeecees didn't look triumphant, he didn't look free. He looked crushed. Like a man who realized too late that truth doesn't cleanse you, it exposes you. He leaned against the side of a trailer, head low, eyes red, like the weight of what he'd confessed had finally dropped on his shoulders. Spice whispered something under her breath. Bambi looked away. Nobody had jokes. Nobody had shade. It was that serious. And before anyone could even think of what to do next, Yandy walked off. Quietly, no dramatic stomp. No parting words. She just turned around and walked toward the back of the lot. Past the cameras, past the crew, past the production tents. Gone. Just like that, the producers didn't follow. Not immediately. They froze. Because even they knew this wasn't regular footage. This wasn't just another reality TV scene. This was a woman breaking on camera and they weren't sure whether to chase ratings or protect her pain. Back at the set, the air went stiff. Nobody knew if they were supposed to keep filming. One of the sound techs unplugged his mic. A boom operator lowered his gear. Mendeecees stood there, still quiet, still motionless, like a man who just watched himself lose everything he thought was secure. Rashida whispered something to a PA, maybe asking where Yandy went. But no one had answers. Not even the producers. Word spread fast that she hadn't left the lot. A security guard saw her sitting in a black SUV parked near the back fence. Windows up, music off. Just sitting. Alone. Rashida and Bambi walked over quietly. No cameras followed. No lights. Just two women trying to check on someone who clearly didn't want to be found. When they got to the SUV, Yandy didn't open the door. Didn't wave. She just looked at them through the tinted glass and shook her head. Not now, not yet. Maybe not ever. Inside the production trailer, chaos. Editors replaying footage in silence. Producers arguing about what to do with the scene. One said it should be cut out entirely, that it was too real. Another insisted this was the kind of raw moment that made love and hip-hop legendary, that this devastation, this unraveling, was what kept people watching. No one wanted to be the one to make the final call. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was still on set. Not talking, not moving, just breathing heavy, sitting alone on a folding chair, staring at the ground like it was going to give him answers. Spice eventually approached him, voice low. "You sure you had to do it like that?" she asked. He didn't answer right away, just stared forward. And then he said it. 6 words. There was never going to be time. Simple, cold, real. Because what's the right time to destroy someone's world on national television? There isn't one. So he chose the only time he had. Too late. Back in the trailer, the junior producers whispered about what to do next. They could feel the weight of what they'd captured. This wasn't just TV. This wasn't just another cheating scandal. This was a marriage imploding in real time. And it was all caught on camera. The sun dipped low behind the skyline as the crew started packing up. No wrap-up jokes. No high fives. Just quiet. Heavy. Lingering. Yandy's SUV was still parked out. Back. Still no movement. No one dared to knock again. And just when they thought she might sit there all night, the engine started. Slowly, she pulled away. No speeding. No screeching. Just gone. The security guard radioed in she's leaving, and everyone knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. By a long shot. By the time Yandy disappeared down that street and the taillights of her SUV faded into the distance, the set felt like a crime scene. Nobody spoke above a whisper, and even the security guards had this look like they just witnessed something sacred being ripped apart. Back in the trailer, the producers were now dealing with the fallout of truth they didn't see coming. Because let's be real, love and hip-hop thrives on drama. But heartbreak? Real heartbreak. That kind you can't script or reshoot. That's rare. And terrifying. Phones were buzzing nonstop, cast members texting each other, wondering if Yandy was going to file charges or demand the footage be erased. Some even thought she might quit the show entirely. But as chaotic as it was behind the scenes, it was worse online. Clips from the set somehow leaked, blurry but unmistakable. Mendeecees' face, his voice, that deadpan confession, and Yandy just barely in frame, eyes full of betrayal. The internet lit up like wildfire. Twitter turned into a war zone, with fans split down the middle. One half demanded justice for Yandy, dragging Mendeecees like he stole Christmas. The other half, well, they weren't surprised. He's been trashed since day one. One tweet read, racking up 50,000 likes in less than an hour. Others went deeper, pulling up old interviews, archived footage, podcast clips, even shady Instagram captions from years ago. Suddenly, everyone was a detective, and the entire relationship between Yandy and Mendeecees was under a microscope. People started analyzing past seasons, pointing out every time he avoided tough questions. Every moment she defended him when she shouldn't have had to. The narrative flipped fast. Mendeecees wasn't just a man who made a mistake, he was now the villain in a reality saga built on lies, manipulation, and emotional neglect. And the worst part, anonymous sources started crawling out of the woodwork. An ex-stylist claimed she'd seen the messages before they ever leaked, said she warned Yandy months ago but got shut down. A former production assistant went on a podcast and said Mendeecees had been running a side relationship with Erica during multiple filming breaks. She even claimed they shared hotel rooms when traveling for press events, right under Yandy's nose. And then came the receipts. Blurry screenshots, hotel confirmations, voicemails with familiar voices saying very unfamiliar things. It didn't matter if half of it was fake. The audience was eating it up like a Thanksgiving plate. YouTubers made exposed videos, reenacted scenes, and Twitter turned every frame into a meme. But for Yandy, this wasn't entertainment. This was devastation with a spotlight. Word came out that she hadn't responded to producers in over 48 hours. She wasn't answering calls from her castmates, wasn't active on socials, and had reportedly checked into a wellness retreat with no phones allowed. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was spotted out in public. Alone, hoodie up, looking like a man with a guilty conscience and nowhere left to hide. One photo surfaced of him walking into a law office downtown, another of him getting into an Uber with no entourage, no chains, no swag, just defeat. And then came the bombshell. Erica herself went live. Of course she did. With her signature dramatic lashes and a smirk that could curdle milk, she addressed the scandal head-on, said she didn't owe anyone an apology, claimed she never chased Mendeecees, that he was the one sliding into her DMs late at night, talking about how lonely marriage had become. She said, "Y'all act like I ruined something perfect. Baby, it was already broken. I just gave him a place to land." The live went viral in minutes. Not because people believed her, but because it added fuel to an already raging fire. Erica's smugness turned public opinion into a riot. Fans dragged her for filth. But they dragged Mendeecees harder. Yandy's silence, ironically, made her louder than anyone, because while they were all talking, posting, clout chasing, she was grieving. Quietly, powerfully. It's funny how pain moves in silence while chaos screams. Reports came out that Mona Scott-Young herself had to step in. The queen of the franchise allegedly held an emergency Zoom with executives to decide how to handle the situation. Some pushed to spin it into a multi-episode arc. Others begged for damage control. But Mona, she was allegedly heard saying, "If we're gonna tell the story, we tell it raw, no filters." If true, that means everything, every tear, every confession, every leaked message was fair game. Mendeecees didn't issue a formal statement. But sources close to production said he tried reaching out to Yandy through her manager, sent her flowers, a handwritten note, even tried to show up at her house, but security turned him away. And the streets were talking. Literally, fans were pulling up outside filming locations, blasting breakup anthems from their cars, holding up signs, saying Yandy deserved better and free her from that clown. Someone even spray-painted LHH fraud on a set trailer. Police were called. It was that serious. Paparazzi started trailing Mendeecees, asking if he'd be returning to the show. His only response, a shrug. Some say he looked relieved. Others say he looked haunted, but one thing was clear, this man had torched his legacy in one unscripted moment. Cast members started choosing sides. Spice unfollowed him. Rashida posted a cryptic quote about knowing when to walk away from what wounds you. Bambi went live and said she wished somebody had told Yandy years ago that loyalty doesn't mean suffering. Meanwhile, fans were rallying for Yandy to get her own spin-off. Something empowering. Something real. A redemption arc where she ditches the drama and builds an empire. Because in their eyes, she wasn't just a scorned wife, she was a survivor. And the more people dug into Mendeecees' history, the worse it got. Old court docs started circulating. Unsealed files from his previous cases. Stories of money laundering, shady deals, betrayal behind closed doors. Some even speculated that his recent confessions were tied to a deeper legal issue, one that could resurface now that he's back in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. But here's the thing that shook everyone. A leaked voicemail. Number one knows how it got out. Maybe a jealous ex. Maybe someone inside production, but it was his voice, calm, cold, saying, "She was never supposed to find out like that." Click. Just 7 words. But the damage, irreversible, because when you say something like that on tape, it confirms everything people feared. That this wasn't just a mistake, it was a strategy. A deception so deep, even he got lost in it. And now, the internet was demanding consequences, not just cancellations. Consequences, legal, financial, personal. Mendeecees was trending with words like liar, fraud, and gaslighter attached to his name, and Yandy. She was trending too, but with love. Flowers sent to her, store. Fan art posted online. Messages of support flooding every post she'd ever made. And still no word from her. No caption, no reply. Just silence that spoke louder than any interview ever could. And just when it felt like things couldn't spiral any further, someone dropped the mother of all bombs. An anonymous source claiming to be a former associate of Mendeecees came forward with what they called the missing piece. This wasn't a tweet. This wasn't a podcast rumor. This was a full-blown audio file sent to multiple gossip outlets and influencers with a chilling warning attached. You think you know what he did, you don't? The audio was rough, filled with background noise, but clear enough to make out the voices. Mendeecees and someone else, presumably one of his boys, talking like they had no idea the phone was recording. And in that clip, Mendeecees allegedly joked about how easy it was to keep two women in the dark. They always want to believe the best in you, especially when you keep the bills paid and your lies cute. That one line, that one smirk in his voice. It destroyed what little sympathy he had left. The blogs exploded. Reaction channels had field days breaking it down frame by frame, voice by voice. Lip readers, audio analysts, conspiracy theorists, everyone joined the party. And Mendeecees' name was now stamped across a scandal so wide it reached outside the love and hip-hop world. Former castmates from other cities started chiming in. Sin Santana tweeted a vague but shady "I'd been new," and deleted it minutes later. K. Michelle reposted a meme of a clown in a wedding tuxedo with the caption, "Some of y'all gonna learn." Even people outside the franchise, athletes, influencers, random blue-check celebrities started throwing in their 2 cents. Suddenly, it wasn't just about the affair. It was about ego, manipulation, the culture of gaslighting, and what women put up with in the name of love. Think pieces flooded Instagram carousels. One post went viral, breaking down every single time Yandy excused Mendeecees' behavior on camera. The post ended with the line, "When your loyalty becomes your punishment, it's no longer love, it's a trap." Meanwhile, love and hip-hop producers saw the opportunity. Rumors swirled that they planned to air the unedited footage of the confession in the next episode. Legal teams were scrambling behind the scenes, trying to block it. Some say Mendeecees threatened to quit the show. Others claim he tried to negotiate a redemption arc. But no matter how many contracts got waved in the air, the truth was already out there. The genie wasn't going back in the bottle, and Yandy, she was slowly resurfacing, quietly, purposefully. Her first public appearance, post-scandal, was at a charity event for single mothers. No entourage, no makeup team, just her, in a simple black dress, speaking to a room full of women who'd been through the kind of heartbreak she was now known for. Clips from her speech hit social media. One quote stood out and went instantly viral. "Healing doesn't mean you weren't hurt. It means you're finally choosing yourself." That was the moment everything shifted. She wasn't the victim anymore. She was the phoenix, rising from ashes she never asked to be buried in. Brands started pulling Mendeecees from their rosters. One sneaker collab deal quietly disappeared from his Instagram page. A real estate seminar he was scheduled to host got cancelled last minute, with organizers citing reputational concerns. Meanwhile, Yandy picked up 3 new sponsorships in the same week: skincare, wellness, and a podcast network offering her a deal to tell her story her way. And she hadn't even spoken publicly about him yet. The power of silence. But then, just as people started to breathe, a second leak hit the internet. This time, screenshots. Real ones, backed by verified iCloud data. Messages from Mendeecees to a third woman not Erica dated during the same time he was apologizing to Yandy in public. The messages weren't even romantic. They were calculated, cold, talking about business moves, brand expansion, image control. "Gotta ride this out. They'll forget soon. Just need to let her cry it out, then spin it clean." That one message. It felt like betrayal on top of betrayal. Fans didn't just feel sorry for Yandy anymore, they were enraged on her behalf. How could one man be this calculating, this heartless, and still have the audacity to walk around acting like he was misunderstood? His Instagram turned into a digital battleground. Comments flooded every post, dragging him so hard he had to disable replies. Then he deactivated Then came the rumors that VH1 had called an emergency meeting with the cast. They allegedly offered Yandy her own docuseries, one that would follow her journey post-breakup, rebuilding her life, reclaiming her power, a full rebrand. One insider claimed the network was willing to cut Mendeecees from future episodes entirely if Yandy gave the green light. That's how far the tables had turned. The man who once dominated scenes with his smug calmness was now being written out like a bad subplot. Meanwhile, other cast members began reshuffling their alliances. Erica, still loving the attention, started teasing a tello of her own. But it didn't hit the same. People weren't curious anymore. They were annoyed, tired. The drama had gone from juicy to dirty, and no one wanted to be dragged through the mud again unless it brought real closure. The truth was, Mendeecees wasn't just cancelled, he was exposed. His reputation wasn't just damaged, it was in shambles. And as much as he tried to frame it as a misunderstanding, the facts were screaming too loud for anyone to ignore. And yet, through all the chaos, Yandy's calm was what stole the show. She dropped one post, just a photo. Her, standing alone, wind blowing through her curls, no caption, but the message. Clear as day. She was done being somebody's ride, or die. She was done cleaning up messes she didn't make. And the audience? They were done watching her suffer. This wasn't just reality TV anymore. It was a reckoning. A wake-up call, a movement, and as the cameras started rolling again for the next season, everyone knew this time the game had changed. Because Yandy wasn't playing to protect someone else's ego anymore. She was playing for herself, for her peace, for her power, and that made her more unstoppable than she'd ever been. Now that the dust is settling and the truth is finally crawling out from under all the lies, one thing is crystal clear: this was never just about a confession. It was about years of manipulation, betrayal hidden behind expensive suits and fake apologies, and a woman who gave her all only to be left in tears on national television. But guess what? Yandy's not the only one waking up. Women everywhere saw themselves in her heartbreak, and now they're demanding more, not just from their partners but from the culture that enables this mess in the first place. So, the real question is, are we finally done celebrating these toxic love stories disguised as loyalty? Or are we going to keep pretending that these men deserve our sympathy just because they throw on a guilty face after they get caught? If you've been hooked, shocked, or even just straight up pissed off by everything that's gone down, don't stay quiet. Let your voice be heard. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you believe? Was Mendeecees always this calculated? Or is there still another twist we haven't seen? And if you've ever been in Yandy's shoes, speak up. This space is for truth, even the messy kind. Make sure to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell because this saga is far from over. We're just getting started, and trust me, what's coming next will make this confession look like a bedtime story. Stay locked in. The truth always finds the light.